Those men and women who are going to be interviewed by me, if you could come up to the stage, please. We're not going to put the chairs out for sake of time. I'm going to ask you all a single question. So here they come. Why don't you encourage these guys and girls? Gee, look at those microphones. They're dishing them out like lollipops. Okay, so I've personally handpicked this crew because I know them personally, and I do know their testimony is that they speak about Jesus to unsaved people. And so I thought I'd ask them each a different question. And the purpose of this little interview is to give us hope and encouragement that ordinary people can do the work of an evangelist. And so let me kick off with Michelle there in the middle. This is Michelle Hurd. She's been in this church for a number of decades. Michelle, I remember, it should be green. I remember when Alpha first kicked off, you used to book out about 2 or 3 tables. And since then, you've dragged people to church over and over again. When you speak to an totally unchurched person about Jesus, how do you broach the subject? You're working in the garden and all, because sometimes it's not just natural. Sometimes you've got a target. You like want 18 people at an Alpha table. So how do you bring it up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm on. Okay. It's ever since I was a little girl, I remember sitting somewhere in my mum's garden and looking out of my eyes and thinking, I'm inside here, I'm behind these eyes, and no one else is behind you, and Jesus, you know me. And so it's like I've got this big secret. And I can't wait to have other people join in my world and be part of this big secret, which is definitely, to me, it's the only answer. So I'm very subjective.
So let me give you an example. There was like a very famous secular artist that you once dragged into church. I remember it.
Yeah.
How did that conversation go?
Female artist? Okay.
She asks so many, she doesn't even remember who it is she's dragging in.
Those ones are the most exciting and most challenging, because when you're dealing with someone's mind and their intellect, it is like you're up against a wall, but it's a supernatural thing. I have found the Holy Spirit to be supernaturally contagious. So when I ask God or the Holy Spirit to please give me the right words with this person that my heart is suddenly just squeezed for, there's like an excitement that happens inside me, and it's like, this person's got to know. God, there's just no other way, they've got to know. So please give me the words. And it just happens supernaturally. But God will give you a perspective of the person that you're dealing with just by being who you are. Just
Okay,
yourself.
so for you get excited, you've got the secret you want to share, and you pray into it.
I do.
Yeah.
I pray all the time.
Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Next to them. Now, some of you will know who this is. This is my new son-in-law. This is the dude who dragged my daughter off to Underberg. And I thought what I'd like to ask him a story about is there are a couple of Underberg people here. So, Steph, I'm just going to go through the story from the beginning. When did you move to Underberg?
In June last year.
June last year. And then you decided for some reason to run an Alpha course.
Yes. So,
What church were you part of at that stage?
One Life.
One Life.
Yes.
Underberg, Alpha course.
Yeah.
Who came to your Alpha course?
There's about 7 blokes. So,
But you didn't know anybody in Underberg, so how did you do that?
yeah, so I moved onto a farm, and the farm manager, we started talking, and he suggested it. I suggested, let's go for it.
Okay, so who were the other, if it was you and the farm manager, who were the other 6?
Yeah, 7 other guys. So another guy from the contracting industry I'm in,
Yeah.
and another one from another contracting company.
So
and
what did
then-
you, like with your hard hat on one day with a pick and shovel in your hand, you said, hey, I'm running Alpha?
Yeah, something like that. But it was
So did
all
you-
friends connected. So
Okay.
we
Why
all-
did you pick Alpha?
It's just a great base to start off. So the questions were asked, so we could just discuss it afterwards.
Okay.
It made it so much easier.
All right, so you ran that in your house?
Yeah, we went from house to house, and every house did the food for that night
And you did that right up until the end of the year.
until December. Yeah,
And then you got married.
I got
You
married
dragged my daughter off.
to your daughter.
And now those people that were in your Alpha course, are they still hanging around with you?
Yes, yeah. So we on Tuesday evenings we have Connect.
So you have
Now the
Connect.
wives and girlfriends have started joining.
And the wives
slowly.
and girlfriends, that's great.
Yeah.
And now you've decided to join a church in Underberg.
Yes, islands.
Did you take some of them with you?
Yeah, they started coming. They're visiting the churches and they're church hopping, but hopefully they'll settle in at Highlands Church because that's the best one in town.
There you go. There you go. That's a great story, eh? Go start a hungry before you join the church, then just take the hungry with you into the church. Mind that. Who's the last unsaved person you spoke to about the Lord?
The last person I spoke to about the Lord, I met this guy at a shop in Save in town.
When?
He's Muslim.
When?
It was about a week ago.
Okay.
Yes. We were talking about this Muslim thing, and then he asked me about God and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was a personal level kind of
Okay, well,
talking.
like, were you just like shopping for something?
No, I was doing something at the shop. I was working at the shop.
Oh, you working?
So
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
And how did that conversation go?
So I was talking to him. I asked him what he believed in, and he said it was Muslim. So we were talking about how his family is going to the mosque and stuff like that. He kept talking about that thing, and I'm like, tell me about your God. What do you guys believe in?
Wow.
And then he started to explain to me. I don't know. We believe this and that and this and that. And I said to him, would you like to know about my God?
Wow.
And then he says,
Wow.
yeah. And then I told him about Jesus, and then he said, hopefully we'll meet again. I have him on WhatsApp, and I say hi every now and then, blue ticks and answers every now and then.
Blue ticks. But that's incredible. He asks questions. So he said, tell me about your faith. Brilliant. Jay, you were a Hindu. Tell
Yeah.
us briefly how you became a Christian.
Okay, I was courting my wife. She told me, if you're going to take this thing any further, you got to change your religion. And I was wearing a red string, and I said, definitely not. And first year at university, director of Campus Crusade for Christ, sitting in my chair. Dad died when I was 7, so feeling sorry for myself. And he came and sat next to me. I'll never forget, over the duck pond at University of Durban, Westville. And he had a track with him. And he says, I see you deep in thought. And so basically what he did was gone through the track with me and asked me if I want to give my heart to the Lord. And so it's a bit emotional, but basically it was, I was the first one in my family to give my heart to the Lord.
Wow.
And
Right there at the duck pond.
at the duck pond, and my mom's 70 today. It's her
Yeah.
birthday. And
Wow.
she had given her heart to the Lord. My two sisters, my was 76 when she got baptized, so
Wow. Incredible. Michaela, this lady pretty much runs the show here. And so she's on staff, got an incredible testimony. But when you talk to someone who is adamant God doesn't exist, what do you say to them?
I'm just passionate about everything that God does, and I think through the testimony, building the bridges, just living your life, you don't have to convince them God does that. You just live your life with passion, and they catch something of what they're looking for.
So if someone says to you, but Mike, how can you believe that stuff, man? How can you be doing that? What would you say to them?
I just show them the testimony of God healing me, be in a wheelchair, and now fat, flourishing, and enjoying life to the full.
Wesley, tell us one story of you speaking to an unchurched person about Jesus.
There was this one guy at our work, and I'm in sales, so everybody who's in sales knows it's a very pressurized environment. And our executives come down about 4 times a year. And if you're not performing, they actually fire people in the sales industry. And he was extremely nervous because he realized that he didn't do well for the first 3-4 months. And I said, can I pray with you? And all I kept feeling in my spirit was the Lord saying to me, Jesus is your answer. And he was a Hindu guy. And he didn't quite understand that. He said, yeah, I like my religion and many other things. But I remember just saying, can I pray with you? And he was quite happy for me to pray with him. But the amazing thing was, when he went home that afternoon, he got stuck in a traffic pile-up, if you can call it that. And there was a bus in front of me. On the back of the bus, it was written, Jesus is your answer.
Hey, incredible. My major point with this is there's not one method. It's like the life of God in us. And this is what God's promised us over this year. Thousands of us, not just 1 or 2 preachers, thousands of us invading darkness, letting our testimony pour out of us. Thank you, guys. Let's give them an encouragement, round of applause. We've got 2 more guys who are going to pop up for 10 minutes apiece. The first is our music man. Sean, come join me here, please. And then after him, Tim Fannin. So Sean's going to get very practical about inviting people. And while he's organizing himself, let me tell you this. This coming year, we have got Angus Buchan back again. We are having a men's camp with 1,000 men. There's Sparkle again. There are Easter events and Christmas events, and there is every Sunday you can invite people to. But all the events in the world don't change a single soul unless we're inviting people. And we encourage them to join us. So this is going to be very practical, and then we're going to end off with Tim Fannin.
Thanks, Grant. Hello, everyone. For those of you wondering who the heck is this guy's preaching at the South, I haven't ever heard him preach at the South. It's because I've never preached here at the South. So I want to introduce you to a mate of mine who's going to go up on the screen in a moment. His name is Tawanda. Tawanda has become a recent friend of mine and quite a few other people in our site at Durban. And I want to tell you a quick story about this chap. Sometime about 12 or 18 months ago, Tawanda was hit by a car on one of the Durban freeways. Don't know whether it's the N2 or M4, but they're both dangerous. And all he remembers is that he woke up in hospital, no family there in Zim, and he was in a taxi one morning coming to Gateway, and he was handed a pamphlet by one of our D-teamers, inviting him to one of our first church services in Durban. And he took the pamphlet. He then came to church that next Sunday. The following Tuesday, he joined a Connect group. And Tawanda, are you here? Check at him. He's up in the production box. Tawanda serves on our production team in Durban, Sunday after Sunday. And in this whole process, we had the power of 60. It's Tawanda's lucky day. Because if you didn't notice, he lost a tooth during his accident by being hit by the car. And so we had some dentists in our church. And one of the dentists agreed that he'd give Tawanda a new tooth. And so let's have a look at Tawanda now. Please. Okay, he looks like this. So, do you know a single invite can change someone's life forever? I love it. I love inviting. And I think the invitation to people needs to become a lifestyle. It needs to become so practical that every day we're just thinking, what can I invite this guy to next? I don't think you need to wait until Sparkle. I don't think you don't need to wait until, does Man Up even exist anymore? Man Up. No, go on. Okay, so that's announcements. No man up anymore. Alpha, etc., etc. It doesn't need to be a big event, man. And like Tawanda, we're going to come across people that we don't know, a pamphlet through a window of a taxi, but we're also going to come across those that we do know. And how do we invite them? Not by a show of hands, but who here finds it quite awkward inviting someone to church? I do, every now and then. You know, throughout the New Testament, we can see invitations extended by Jesus. In Matthew, he says to a group of people, he says, "Come, all you who are heavy laden and burdened, and I will give you rest." In John, he checks this group of fishermen that have just finished their day, and they're tired and they just completely burnt out from the day of fishing, and he says to them, "Guys, come and eat with me." And the interesting thing about that is that Jesus identified their needs before he extended the invite. He knew exactly what they needed. He is a supernatural chap, in all reverence. But we need to look at doing the same thing. And I think an invitation for me is so much more important because Jesus extends the invitation to us. How much more is it important that we extend an invitation to others? For myself and Kate, where are you? Just stand. I've always wanted to do this. Thank you. Thank you, Grant. I'm in trouble when we get home. For myself and Kate, we see our home as like a mini mission, honestly. It's like every Tuesday is a mini mission with Connect Group. And it's almost become, in fact, it has become a more important meeting to me in a week than a Sunday. Because of certain aspects of what happens there. But other than Connect Group, the church invitation, the invite where I say, right, come to church, that starts in my home. It starts around the dinner table. Why? Because you get to know someone a lot closer. You get more information about them. You get to squeeze every little bit out of them about their needs, about what they are battling with, about what they do. And church, for me, doesn't set on a Sunday that environment to find out the intimate detail. I love church. I love Sundays. Please come back on Sundays. Don't only go to Connect Groups. But for me, I find out so much more about someone's needs. The other reason why I think your invite to church should start in a home is because people will receive an invite far better if they're your friend. And so getting close into the space of people opens that opportunity for that invite. I've just been my eyes have been so open to the whole thing of community in Durban. I promise you now, whatever your interests are, you can find a club for that thing. You can find, Kate's in a swimming club, in a surf club, and I'm quite amazed by my wife because she comes back with stories almost daily about she's been with this person from her swimming group for coffee, and they had this chat, and she was at Backline. I don't know what she gets up to at Backline, surfing, and I don't do that. I can't get out of bed onto my feet in the morning in one piece, but never mind get from a surfboard, from my stomach to a surfboard. But anyway, Kate sits in the back line, and she has conversations with people all the time. And it's just opening that invite, and we've had some of those people through our home, and it's opening up an invite for people to come to church. In one example that I can think of off the top of my head, a lady's been in a relationship for a long time, 10 years. She now ditched her boyfriend, and she's subsequently, she had 2 kids with this guy, so it's a bit complicated. But she's been coming to church every Sunday for the last month with her mom. And all of a sudden, they've seen a reconciliation in their relationship. And so we're praying for those guys. And the same thing must happen, inviting people in every group that you belong to. Look at it as a mini mission, man. Your book club, your school classroom. It doesn't have to be Sparkle. It doesn't have to be Alpha. We are on a mission field, and it's so easy to invite people for a meal at your home. just for a meal. You don't have to bring out the Bible and start telling them that they better come to church. Break the ice a bit. Food's good. And then finally, I just wanted to say, and something that I've been working through is stop the pressure. Stop the pressure of closing a deal. We're not in this thing. An invite is not like a sale that we've got to make. When we invite people to church, we're not looking for them to get saved necessarily on their first meeting. So stop putting the pressure if they don't make a decision to follow Christ. It's not up to us. We've got to extend the invite and open them up to the ministry of Jesus so that they can make a decision for themselves and respond. And we can pray for that. Finally, now that I've told you a little bit about how I invite someone to church, and it's 99.9% time, always through food. I don't keep my physique like this by, I keep it like this by inviting people to church, I guess. But finally, I'm going to say goodbye now, but I want to just turn your attention to the screen for a second, and when the next person asks you guys how you invite people to church, hopefully it's not like this. Thank you very much.
Hi. What's up? So there's a place that I go to on Sundays. You want to go with me? Ever been to Free Chapel? You know what? We have a special event at my church. If you want to, okay. You know what? Here, you give one to your mom, give one to your dad, give one to your brother. You got the sister, uncle, cousin, niece, nephew. Open the floodgates of heaven. In the book of Revelation, there are 7 seals that get opened. 7, just like the 7 deadly sins that are in your life right now. The beast, the dragon, he's coming. 666, it's real. Boo. If you thought that was scary, hell's gonna be even scarier. You're not going trick-or-treating, are you? You know that's the devil's birthday. There's a chance that you could be demon-possessed. You should come to my church and get tested. Look, you're a heathen. If you trace that back in the Strong's Concordance, basically what that means is you're a terrible person, like a really terrible person. But that's okay. We all are, brother. Looks like you don't have the Bible app on here. Lucky for you, I got the real thing. Genesis 1:1, Numbers 26 verse 20, the descendants of Judah by their clans. And Revelation chapter 22 verse 21 says, the grace of the Lord Jesus be with God's people. Amen.